Okay, here's my 1943 Harley Big Twin Flathead. It's a ULH motor, it's 80 inches, and a fun fact, I got the motor from a local legend named Caesar. He had a shop called Caesar's Motorcycle Empire. A lot of people around here and around the world know of Caesar. So I built this bike for Born Free 9 in the Invited Builder series. The bike originally had a 16-inch back wheel, and it's actually had 3 different front ends on this bike. The original was a 39 with custom Barney's sliders that I had built, and it had the first set of trees that I made, the kind of narrowed wide glide trees for a 39, so it was the prototype version of these trees. Eventually I went to a Springer, and then went back to the 39. This one has these tapered sliders, but the original had Barney's that I had made custom and a K-model brake. And so yeah, you know, I like to switch stuff up and try different stuff. And you know, the front end was one of those. It's got Jeff Layton's risers from the Wretched Hive. The headlight I got from my buddy Michael. I got this years ago. I don't know what it's off of, but I've always thought it was really cool. I like the lens, and you know, it's got a little different headlight bucket shape. Those are also a product that I kind of developed off of that headlight mount. The frame I got the rear section from Dave Polgreen. The front was all whacked out. It had this crazy, the neck was all shooting up. I don't even know what they were trying to do, but somehow these like gooseneck frames keep finding me. And so this one I kind of kept it a little bit gooseneck, but you know, had my own flair on it. You know, I came up with that neck cluster and the super narrow down tubes with the fins. I kind of replicated those on my more recent Panhead because I really liked how those fins worked out. So yeah, that's kind of the frame setup. Originally it was going to have a Panhead motor, but then I ended up swapping to the Flathead. I built these panels to kind of hide the oil lines and the fuel lines and kind of fill up some of that visual space that since the Flathead motor is so short. And it's got this Sportster mag. I did the engraving, those bricks down on the bottom. The whole bike had, you know, it's got a lot of engraving on it still. I did the barbed wire on that. Oil filler plug, these daggers on the fender struts. The original front end actually had a bunch of engraving on the trees as well. The original bars were kind of mini apes that had a bunch of engraving on them and on the lever as well. There's the engraved gas cap. And I did these stainless tabs on the tank to kind of save the paint from getting all wrinkled up when you tighten it down. And then I did this little bump out on the tank and filled it with broken up Fanta bottles and Jarritos bottles, and there's actually LEDs submerged under there, and it lights up as you have the thing rolling. So what else do we have here? Got the cocktail shaker mufflers. It's got the this seat actually. Adam from River Seat did the seat and P-pad. It's got that kind of funky molded in tail light with a red LED in there. On this chain guard, it's got the louvers, and I kind of recontoured it just so that it would sort of match the brake drum a little better. I kind of like to keep it, you know, in the radius of the drum, and you know, the stock ones just kind of like flow out back so far. I just thought it would be better to radius it to the drum. Got this little Playboy bunny from my friend Koski in Nagoya from Fever Choppers. I made these are bolt-on mounts that kind of cope around the frame and have the little mini Anderson pegs. Got this beetle floating in the shift knob. Katie and I made that along with this kind of snake organic looking shifter. I don't know what I was thinking on there, but some sort of, I don't know, flower mixed with a snake. The clutch chain actually has little engraved snake scales on it, just for a little extra detail. And I made this little floorboard, you know, kind of boot guard thing. So one thing that kind of goes unnoticed on this bike is this heavily customized primary. If you notice, there's no inner primary. It's just all blended together. And then there's this sort of sculpted rib that I added throughout the cover and around the clutch derby cover area. I wanted the cover to come on and off really quickly, so it bolts on with these two bolts and this back primary bolt. The whole cover will slide off with the peg and the clutch pedal attached to the cover. There's a heavy-duty steel plate that bolts to the frame, and all this kind of indexes into. And you can kind of see back there, that's the original gear, brake crossover gear setup that that's the first one right there. So all that hooks into that big steel plate. And so what I ended up doing on the clutch pedal is I took a 7/16 Allen wrench and I cut a chunk of that off, welded it to that shaft, and put a circlip on the back so it's locked into the cover. And then on the back side, I took a 7/16 socket and welded it to that arm and put a clip on that, so it's locked into that plate. And you know, it just indexes together and makes the cover come on and off really easily. The whole thing, you know, functions pretty well actually, and is quick to deal with if you need to adjust the clutch. I made this air cleaner cover. I was over at Oliver from the Cut Rates house one day, and he had an extra gas tank sitting around that he was going to throw away, so I just cut a chunk out of that gas tank, you know, just out of that curved area, and then welded some 1/4-inch round on the edge and added some rivets, and it just bolts on from the back there. There's actually a foam element in there as well. The oil tank, I've got the lines coming out the back, and it feeds into one of the lowbrow oil filter units. Makes it nice, you know, you can replace the filter pretty easily and you know, service the bike. For some reason I decided to bolt the springs to the frame, just change it up a little bit. So the springs sandwich in, and they, you know, the oil tank mounts to the frame and the springs mount to the frame all with the same bolt to just kind of simplify everything. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on there. It's got a Honda dual leading shoe front hub that I added those little radians to, just to kind of jazz it up and give it a cool look. The brake works excellent. I really end up liking using the Japanese front hubs a lot because they just stop so much better than a Harley brake. So yeah, that's kind of what's up. There's a Max Grundy little gas mask charm thing. So yeah, let's hear this thing go. Alright, the generator on this bike's not working, so I just hooked this battery up right here so I could show you guys the LEDs in the tank. Unfortunately, some of the LEDs have gone out over the years, so they're not as bright up towards the top as it used to be, but you get the idea. Well, that's my Flathead. Thanks for watching.